running for the United States Senate, Democratic candidate to fill that seat temporarily occupied by Roland Burris, a seat that belonged to President Barack Obama. Alexi, good to have you with us this morning.
Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be on the show.
And we knew that we might need some help today, so we brought in a fellow Illinoisan, Ed Smith here. I understand you guys have crossed paths before.
Let me tell you, aside from politics, Ed Smith is one of the best human beings you'll ever meet, and I can tell you unequivocally, if it weren't for Ed Smith, someone who took a chance on me when I ran for state treasurer at a very young age, I wouldn't be where I am today. So he's an outstanding guy and a great friend of mine.
Well, you should hear some of the stuff he was saying about you before we went on the air.
Hopefully it was positive.
Yeah, it was all positive, Alexi. How you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and I know you were in my hometown down in Cairo, Illinois, a week or so ago, and you did a great job. That communities had a lot of poverty and unemployment, and you gave them hope. And I was telling Bill during the break what a great United States Senator you're going to make for the great state of Illinois. So very, very exciting that you're in this race. You're going to win this race. It's a tough race. They're all tough this year. But I was telling Bill, you're going to win this thing, and we all got to get behind you and make sure that you do win it. But this race, this country's going to be served very well when you get to the United States Senate, Alexi.
But here's what I want to...
Hey, Bill, you know you're big time when you're not even in that state, and you hear from everyone else that he was in your hometown.
That's right. Now, here's what I want to know. Why do we have to go through this? Why didn't Blago just appoint you in the first place?
Why don't we move on from
Listen, as you move around to obviously not just Chicago but downstate, upstate, around Illinois, what do you find? What's on people's minds? What are the big issues you're dealing with?
Jobs.
Really?
And,
yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're in the south side of Chicago, whether you're in central Illinois. Folks are scared and concerned. You have those that have lost their jobs through no fault of their own, because they've been shipped to China or because they've been fired, and you have folks who actually have jobs who are so scared that they're going to be next that they don't know what to do, and it's a genuine concern. Ed was around. We stood up and saved as state treasurer a company that's been around for over 100 years called Hart Schaffner Marks. They make the president's suit. Mm-hmm. The president's suits. They're in Des Plaines, Illinois. Wells Fargo, which is a bank that got $25 billion of taxpayer money, was going to close them down. We stood up. We fought for them. Not only did we keep that company in business, give them a chance to succeed, because we told Hart Marks they weren't going to do business with the state of Illinois anymore if they closed them down, but because we gave them a shot to succeed, they were able to make it out. They're actually now hiring even more people. Not only are they still in business, but they're hiring more people. But the most profound thing I heard was a woman named Marina, who's been there for over 50 years. Over 50 years, the same company.
Wow.
And she told me early on during this battle that, we don't want a handout or a bailout. We just want a job. And to see the middle class over the last 25, 30 years just get decimated, I think takes away from what has always made this country so great. And that's who I'm fighting for every single day. My parents were both immigrants. They came to this country with nothing. They worked very, very hard. They didn't speak the language. They had no education. But there was always this ability in the past that what I call the promise of America, that if you're willing to work hard and struggle and sacrifice in this great country, then you can accomplish anything. And my concern and my fear, and the reason that I'm running for the United States Senate with such passion, is because I'm worried that promise of America is under assault. I'm not sure that in 10, 20, 30 years, unless we turn things around, that ability to work as hard as you can and do whatever you need to do will guarantee success anymore.
Have you seen any positive impact or negative impact of the stimulus in the state of Illinois? Has it helped? We've been talking about that here on the show before you joined us.
I think it's helped. I think it's helped in a lot of capacities. I think in a more big picture, you don't see, and this is the administration's challenge, quite frankly. It's tough to see things that wouldn't have happened otherwise. In other words, it's prevented a situation from getting a lot worse, and that's difficult to always see as you drive down the street. Have there been projects? Of course. Are they doing things with clean energy, clean technology that most people will never see? Absolutely. There's a lot going on that you just don't see driving down the street. More importantly, I think that if it weren't for the recovery, I think we would have had a Great Depression Part 2. I firmly believe that based on not only statistics, but seeing what's taking place on the state level and from hearing from different economists.
Do you think we're out of it now? Coming out of it now?
I still have a lot of concerns. The housing numbers last week were very negative. Consumer confidence, while there's a little bump yesterday, I'm telling you, and I see this firsthand, folks are genuinely scared and concerned.
Hey, Alexi, one of the things that we finally got going in Illinois was when the Capital Bill, the infrastructure bill, and I attended my home local union meeting down in Marion, Illinois, first part of August, and we had a show of hands of the guys in the union hall, and they were working. And they were working because they were working as a result of that legislation. And I've been trying to make the point to Bill this morning that we've got to have that on a federal level. Those jobs, and just like the jobs at Hart, Shaft, and Marks that you talked about, those jobs have health care for their families, they have retirement, they have safety training programs, all those things make a difference, and I just like to get your thoughts about doing some of what we're doing back at home on a federal level.
I could not agree more. We had I proposed the creation of a national infrastructure fund. Look, the American Society of Engineers has given our national infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our water pipes, our streets, a grade of a D-. A D-, one of the worst infrastructures of a developed nation in the world. So here we have a chance not only to fix these crumbling bridges and broken roads, but to put people back to work right now, short term, to save money because we're going to have to fix these roads at some point anyway. To do it immediately, to put people back to work, to help jumpstart this economy, to help get some economy back in the system, because everyone that is working on these bridges goes to buy toothpaste, they go to their doctor, they go to their grocery store to buy shampoo. It's a common sense approach. So I unequivocally agree with you. I think we need to do more to invest in infrastructure right now. And
that's a good agenda to bring to Washington. Alexi, we're talking with Alexi Giannoulias, Democratic Senate candidate in Illinois. Alexi, if anybody, I think most people who have outside of Illinois, who know anything about this race, know two things about you. One is you're running for Barack Obama's seat, and the other is that there have been some problems with your family bank. So I've got to ask you, how do you respond to that? I mean, with all the anger toward the big Wall Street banks, you got some problem with your own bank. What's the deal?
So, I mentioned my parents briefly before, but they were my heroes. They still are my heroes. My father, unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, but 30 years ago, he started a community bank, a community bank on the north side of Chicago, which has helped thousands of people achieve the American dream. He was really an incredible man. He helped taxi drivers that now own small hotels. He helped people start their first hardware store. He's helped people buy their first Six Flat. He's helped people buy their first home. My dad would help people who couldn't go to the big banks. And unfortunately, because of this devastating recession, and while I haven't been there for 4 years because I've been the state treasurer, they were a real estate lender. And when you're a commercial real estate lender and the market drops by 30 or 40%, you're going to be in trouble. And unfortunately, unlike some of the big banks on Wall Street that got billions of dollars in bailout money, for community banks, there was not that lifeline. So, unfortunately, they were forced to close their doors. And while I'm very fortunate, and I'm very lucky, and my family's very fortunate, I understand in a very real way what this recession has done to family businesses. Again, this wasn't some fly-by-night business. 30 years, my father passed it down to my brothers, and it was his life. It was his whole legacy. The people who work there, our customers, we'd gone to their weddings, to their baptisms. So it's a very real problem. And unfortunately, it's a problem that's getting worse. The FDIC put out a report yesterday that increased the number of troubled financial institutions, most of which are community banks. We've had more community banks go under here in Illinois than any other state in the country except for Georgia. So it's a huge problem. The same day that my father's business was forced to close its doors, 7 community banks in Illinois went under. 7 that same Friday. So it's an enormous challenge, and I got to tell you, one of the other major problems is no access to capital. Entrepreneurs, small businesses can't get a loan anywhere, and instead of increasing lending, you're seeing more community banks go under, and guess who's gobbling them up?
Exactly. Right. And the big banks that you're sitting on, last I saw, $200 billion in assets. Alexi, I should have asked you earlier, I know you've got a website. We want to be sure our listeners all around the country know how to reach you, how to find out more about the campaign, how to send some help your way, let's hope. What is it? What's the site?
It's AlexiForIllinois.com, ALEXIFOR Illinois.com, AlexiForIllinois.com. And I got to tell you, Bill, we have 62 days left to go. We're up in the polls, but it's going to be a very tight race. And let me just tell you why this race is so important.
Go for it.
Not just because it's Barack Obama's seat, but Mark Kirk, my Republican opponent, is someone who obviously we've heard his inability to tell the truth, which even he has admitted. Most importantly than all all of that, though, here's someone who voted against the extension of unemployment benefits for our most vulnerable. These are folks who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own. These are folks who are living in their car. These are the folks who are in emergency situations who don't know where to turn to. For every one job opening in this country, there are at least 5 people actively applying for that same job. Not just people looking for jobs, but actively applying for that exact same job. He voted against that not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 5 times.
Wow.
And then when they said, how about tax cuts for the wealthiest 2% of Americans, something that many of these folks don't want, aren't asking for, he says, that's what we need to do. That'll help our economy. That's $750 billion that we can afford. And that's a dangerous position. We talk about the middle class. We need to start having a vision for this country. Where do we want the United States to be in 2040, in 2050? Where do we want this country to be in 100 years? Are we going to invest in early childhood education, science, technology, innovation, infrastructure, do it right now, move towards a clean energy future? Or are we going to elect the same old politicians back to D.C.?
It's a clear choice. It's an important choice. Alexi for Illinois is the website, AlexiForIllinois.com. Alexi, good luck. Thanks for joining us today.
Take care, Alexi. Great to talk to you.
Ed, thank you so much. You guys are terrific.
All right. Talk to you again soon. Alexi Giannoulias. I'm glad his website doesn't have Giannoulias in it, because everybody have to learn how to spell it.
I told you he's a smart guy.
The Bill Press Show